Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the August 21st session of the Johnson County Board of Commissioners to order. I've already welcomed everyone. I just wanted to say that we have an unusual occurrence tonight. Our county manager, Rick Hester, is not here, and it is probably for one of the best reasons. He is awaiting the arrival of his second grandchild. So we wish Mom and Dad and, of course, the grandparents well through all that. So that's Rick is not here for that reason. The other thing I did want to remind everyone as we go into our meeting that the commissioners had established 6 board priorities last year, and we renewed them again this year. They are infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, public safety, and then our county employees. So just as we go through items, I know that there's 6 things that we keep in our forefront as we make decisions, and just so you know that that's what we're making our decisions based on. So as is customary, we open with the prayer and the pledge. I've asked Commissioner Patrick Harris to lead us in the prayer and Commissioner Smith to lead us in the pledge. So if you would, please stand.
Let us pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you in humble prayer. We're so thankful for all that you've done for us, the many blessings that you bring to our families, to our homes, to this wonderful county that we live in. Father, as we gather here tonight to make decisions for the county, we ask that you give us wisdom and strength and courage and understanding and compassion. Father, we pray for those who are protecting us and serving us throughout each day. Father, bless this meeting and bless all in attendance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Our first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. We have 2 consent agenda items tonight. We have some additions to our DOT system, and we also have some budget revisions to the library and for the health department. So is there any need to withdraw any one of those for discussion, or is there a motion to approve?
Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The consent agenda is approved. That brings us to the public comment section. We will call on Adrian O'Neill to come forward and give us an update, I believe, on a grant.
Good evening. I'm not usually first on the list.
Moved up.
I have some great news, I think, for the board tonight. We, and in large part to our grants coordinator, Austin Cross, we have received an award of $500,000 in the form of a grant to go towards development of Johnston County's first regional park over in the Cleveland area. And we are very excited about that. We had come back in April and talked about these grants. This was one of the first ones we were able to apply for. The grant ranked very high in the state. I think there was over 50 applicants, and we were number 3 out of those 50. And that's because of the growth that's going on, and that's because of the potential match that we'll have. We are targeting this towards the first phase of development over there, and we're applying for other grants. We have this was a Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant, which is the premier grant in North Carolina for parks. We'll be applying for Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, which is another $500,000. And we'll also be applying for an accessibility grant, which could be up to, well, it's $250,000 plus. And then we also have some other reimbursements that are still outstanding and will be coming in from the purchase of the property that hopefully we'll be able to use over there on it. So the first phase of development over there is going to be about $1.9 million. And we hope that this grant is good for 3 years. So we've got 2 more budget cycles to go through and a couple more grant cycles with all of these grants. So we're hoping to raise a good majority of this through grants and reimbursements and not have to come back to the board for a whole lot of it. But there may be some at the end we have to augment. And we do still have some money in our open space funds that are the county-wide portion of the open space funds. So we're working towards getting it fully funded. And the things that will bring in over there, yeah, a lot of you folks on the board know what the groundwork is when you start doing one of these things in the underground, the water, the sewer, the electricity. That is one of the things that's in this first phase. The grading, and then the overhead lights, 2 basketball courts, 4 pickleball courts, which is gone crazy now, and then a fishing pond of about 2.7 acres. All of it will be accessible, and it'll be our first foray into the parks world. So we're really excited about it. Let's see if I've missed anything on here. I think that's the big items, and just want to let you ask any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. O'Neill?
I have a question that's not on that subject, Adrian.
Uh-oh.
Tomorrow at noon, there's a Zoom meeting having to do with trails and parks of discussion. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, that's our countywide master plan for trails and greenways, I think is what you're talking about.
The land that the organization put it on, I was not familiar. It was like Piedmont Land Conservancy.
Yeah, I think they're just a host for the most part.
Well, I'm signed up for it, so we'll
Okay.
find out what it's all about.
Sorry, I can't give you more information on that.
I didn't know about the entity.
Yeah. We're doing, we're still working on our 2 studies right now. We have the master plan for the greenways and trails throughout the county, which was funded through DOT. We don't have a dime that we're putting into that, other than staff time. And then we've got the Smithfield to Benson, or to the county line, Trails and Greenways plan, which will include East Coast Greenway and a good portion of Mountains to Sea Trail, which that, again, is DOT funded, not a dime from the county in it. So, we're getting these big grants, but we're getting those little grants too to pay for a lot of the planning, which is a good thing. Yeah.
Adrian, since Commissioner Godwin opened the door, I'm gonna walk through it and ask
Okay.
another question. There's been a lot of interest for years about a shooting range for Johnston County.
Mhm.
I know, I see our folks from 4-H here tonight, and actually I do know that they have to go to another county or some other shooting range for their events, okay? Do you see that as maybe a recreation need, or how can we fit that in? We're long, I think we got to provide one somewhere. I would hope the general public would see fit to find a proper place to put a firing range, but that hasn't worked yet, so.
Yeah, there's it's definitely a recreational component. It's done in other states. There's a nice example down in Florida. A lot of times they are partially managed by NRA or one of the other groups that has a lot of knowledge. There's some drawback, well, I won't say drawbacks, but some heavy expenses that come with a range. When you start talking about lead abatement and things like that, it knocks out a lot of the areas in our county because of the amount of water we have in the county. So you have to be very careful where you place it, because the berms on those have to be taken down and sifted every so many years to make sure you get the lead out so it's not a hazard. And also you have to have certifications that show that the range has not got a lead particulate amount and things like that. It's not from my parks world, it's from another world, but.
I understand. I just want the conversation to move forward.
But it is a tradition in Johnston County. There's a lot of shooting sports in the county, and we do hear a lot about it as we're talking to folks.
But I just want to keep the conversation started if it's in the future or whatever. I think there is a need
Oh, yeah.
there for not only, people that have clubs and such as 4-H here in our county. It's sort of bad that we have to send them off somewhere else. As big of a county as that we are.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else stepping through the door? I thought.
I'll just make a comment. I really appreciate your work and your department's work on the grants and the first of our community parks in the Cleveland area. That's been a push for the last several years, and so it's really nice to see things are coming together and we're moving in the right direction. So well done, and I really appreciate it.
I can't give enough credit to Austin Cross, our grants coordinator. He's done a great job, and I've done these grants before. He took the lion's share of this one and ran with it, and it's really a good application, as you can see, with it being ranked third out of all of them in the state.
That's awesome.
Maybe, and let me add on to what I said. Maybe somehow that we could look at the community college and Howell Woods and see if there's opportunity out there.
I think there's a lot of partnerships that could be made.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you.
All right, next up, speaking of 4-H, we have Josiah Wilson, who is coming up to address the board.
I am not Josiah. My name is Bryant Spivey, County Extension Director here in Johnston County. I just wanted to take a moment before Meredith comes up to introduce. We have two 4-H agents here in Johnston County, and they're both here in the room. Meredith Wood, whom you all have met before, standing right here behind me, and Kana Prince over here against the wall, serving the club aspect of what we do. And so Meredith has known Josiah for a couple of years now, and so she's going to introduce him and so forth.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you for giving us a few moments to be here tonight. I do have Josiah Wilson here. He has been in our program about as long as I've been here, so about 2 years, so he's fairly new to 4-H. But something that I love about Josiah is that he has aspirations to increase his leadership skills. He said that early on. And so he has attended, he's going to tell you a little bit more about what he's done and some of those aspirations, but he's attended many of our teen events. He went with us to Congress this past summer where they elect the state 4-H officers. And one thing that stood out, we had many people that said, he is such a gentleman and holds the door, and so we're just really proud of him. We're really excited that he is able to represent our county this weekend at Youth Voice, as you know, is in connection with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. So I hope that he will be able to meet with many of you this weekend on Saturday, and he's already asked me, do I need to tell them a little bit about some things I think our youth are facing in Johnston County? I said, I think you might have an opportunity to do that. But I did ask Josiah tonight to just tell a little bit about what he's done in 4-H and maybe some aspirations that he has.
I don't know where you live. There's going to be an opening for Commissioner in District 6. just saying.
I'll get you a motorhome and you can live behind my house.
Okay.
You'd be in the district then.
All right. Yeah, come on up. Come on up and talk to us.
Come on up.
So, as you know, my name is Josiah Wilson. I've been in 4-H for about 2 years now, and it's been great. I started off with my mom applying me to it.
That's where all good things start.
Yes. And I went to Congress, which was a very big thing to start with, but I have no regrets. And it was amazing. We were able to learn so many new things. We went through the workshops, and it was just a very enjoyable experience. I made a good friend there. And then I stayed on the low side for a bit, but then I showed up again around near Christmas time, and I became even closer with the friend that I made, got to know a few more people, and had donated a bit, and it was really good. Then we went to the teen retreat earlier this year, and it was very fun. We went to Sound to Sea. I don't remember where that is.
Emerald Isle. We were in Emerald Isle.
But it was a great experience, and we were able to learn a bit about pirates, and we also got to have more bonding, which is one of the great things about 4-H, how it sets up connections and bonding, and you can meet people your age. And then I recently went to Congress this year, and I had another great time and got to partake a bit in looking into the state and district officers. Oh, I also forgot to mention, so when I was at the teen retreat, I actually became the district officer of membership engagement.
Wow.
And that means I'm going to be the Southeast District Officer for Membership Engagement, which entails me working with 4-H to get other people invested and interested in joining 4-H, which is going to be a fun thing, and I can't wait for the training.
And he was also, there was 2 others running against him, and he said, Miss Meredith, I'm not usually competitive, but I'm competitive. He said, I really want to do this, so we are really proud of him. And so I look forward to seeing where, because you are 16?
Yes.
16, so he's got a couple more years left to be in 4-H.
Where do you go to school, Josiah?
I go to school at Clayton High.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So he was elected and inducted in as a district officer at 4-H Congress. It's a huge tradition with the Candlelight Clover. So he will take on that responsibility this fall, and so we are just excited that he represents our county in the Southeast District. So.
Well, we're very proud of you, and you keep up the great work and continue your accomplishments, and I expect great things to come.
Thank you, and I will.
I was gonna say, when I was 16, I would not have stood in front of any board and said anything, so.
Josiah, for the last 8 or 10 years, I've been going to the annual conference, and on Saturday morning, I've had breakfast with some outstanding young people, and hopefully we'll get to have breakfast with you Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
Great.
Breakfast
Looking forward.
And the only thing we need is a picture.
Absolutely.
Well, come on.
Come on.
Yeah, go ahead,
Come on, Meredith, you're not supposed to have a picture.
Sure. Well, slide, y'all slide to the,
You on that side.
Get one on each side, that'd be good.
Are we blocking anybody?
no, I wish you would, squeeze in there a little bit.
Now I see him. Okay. I think I got you.
I was gonna say, you had one job, All right, that is it for the special folks, speakers coming tonight. So this is the traditional public comment section where any audience member can come forward and address the board that is on an item that is not on the agenda. If you would, when you come forward, state your name and your town or township that you reside. In order to balance the need and desire for citizen input with the necessity of disposing of the board's regular business, speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. To avoid repetitiveness, if there's a big group, which I don't see tonight here, we would ask that you select someone to speak on behalf of the group, and we just ask that speakers at all times maintain proper decorum and make their comments in a civil manner. And again, this is a public comment section. It's the opportunity for the board to listen and the public, and not respond to the public. That would take your comments under consideration. So, Ms. Chamley, come on forward. I see you're ready to go.
Yes, I'm ready.
Usually we have to wait for somebody to be the first one, so thank you for stepping
I love
up.
being first. Good evening. My name is Gracie Wells Chambley. I live in Johnston County, Clayton, North Carolina area. Chairman Lauder is my representative. I am here basically as a former candidate for county commissioner in 2018. I've been here at least on 1 or 2 occasions looking at each of one of your faces. The only person that wasn't here the last time I came was Miss Stevens. You're a welcome addition.
Thank you.
You're a welcome addition, but I would like to know when or what are the plans for redistricting for the seats that you all hold at this time?
So if you can hang on, I think when we get to board comments, you will hear some more information
Oh,
on that.
good.
So,
That's what.
unfortunately, it's a
I'll
short
wait.
meeting.
I'll wait for that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? All right, and we did not have any emails, so there are no emails to read. So now we'll move on to the next item, which is the Partnership for Children, Read to Grow JoCo Attendance Awareness Month Proclamation. So I think we have Jonna Falconer here to present this to us.
I'm old enough now I have to wear the readers. I am Jonna Faulkner, and I have the honor of serving on the Partnership for Children of Johnston County's Read to Grow Steering Committee. Read to Grow is a countywide initiative with special priority being given to four target schools: Benson Elementary, Selma Elementary, South Smithfield Elementary, and West Smithfield Elementary. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Read to Grow Attendance Action Team. And this team focuses on chronic absent rates in our targeted elementary schools. We shared a graph with you, nice and colorful. We shared a graph which highlights the increased rate of chronic absenteeism for students from before the COVID pandemic. And in some cases, it has more than doubled in some demographic categories. I think when you look at that, you'll be shocked. This year, we are going to host listening sessions. The partnership is hosting listening sessions in the schools to get a clear picture of the barriers children and families face that negatively impact attendance. Chronic absenteeism impacts both our education and our business communities, and it's a hot topic across the nation. In support of Attendance Awareness Month, Read to Grow JoCo is sponsoring its second annual poster contest. Read to Grow Johnston County is calling on all elementary schools and their students, grades K-5, to create a unique poster highlighting why attendance matters. And we all know how much attendance does matter. Winning posters will be shared on Read to Grow's social media and printed for display at the Artist Homeschool. Each winner will also receive a gift pack full of goodies to help reinforce school attendance. All kindergarten through fifth grade students are eligible to participate. Public school students will receive information from their art teacher. Homeschool, charter, and private schools interested in participating are encouraged to contact the partnership's awesome Heather Macy, who's there in the back, for more information. And that's just one of several activities sponsored by Read to Grow to educate students and their families. Families also need to be educated on the importance of attending school each day. Now, the ask, I'm going to ask for something. We need your support. You've been so gracious with us in the past. So on behalf of Read to Grow JoCo's Attendance Action Team, I'm asking for you, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners, to declare September 2023 as Attendance Awareness Month by signing our proclamation, which is located on page 38 in your packet.
Do you want to read that?
You want to do that now?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. I'll be glad to.
Okay.
I'll read it then. Proclamation of September 2023 is Attendance Awareness Month. Whereas the nation is experiencing a school absenteeism crisis brought on by COVID-19 pandemic and other challenges that have eroded positive conditions for learning at school, including physical and emotional health and safety, a sense of belonging, connection, and support, academic challenges and engagement in adults and peers with social emotional competency, which motivates students and families to show up and engage. And whereas reducing chronic absenteeism, which is missing 10% or more of school for any reason, requires taking a comprehensive trauma-informed approach that starts with prevention and early intervention, including developing routines and trusting relationships that create a sense of belonging rather than responding with punitive action, which research finds is not particularly effective. And whereas improving attendance and engagement takes schools, families, elected leaders, and other community partners working together to rebuild regular and trusting communications and to identify and address barriers to being in school. And whereas taking attendance daily in a caring, consistent manner is essential to identifying when students begin to miss too much school and for engaging students and families as early as possible with needed support and resources. And whereas the Johnson County Board of Commissioners stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month, we hereby commit to focusing on reducing absenteeism and addressing the factors that cause students to miss school in order to ensure all children are an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. We recognize that we must work together to build an engaging school environment that motivates attendance and sends the message that learning can and must continue. Specifically, we will engage students, families, educators, and the broader community, including civic and elected leaders, local businesses, clergy members, and nonprofit organizations, in working together to identify and remove barriers in getting to school in our community and develop meaningful solutions that ensure all children and youth keep learning despite today's many challenges. Affirm the importance of showing up and engaging in school and discuss with students and families what is needed to make showing up to school worthwhile. Work with students and districts and use an expanded set of data, including analyzing attendance and participation in in-person and remote learning, digital access, availability of working, contact information, and relationships to school staff, to monitor outcomes for different groups of students, raise public awareness, establish goals, allocate resources, track progress, and assure accountability for an equal opportunity to learn. Now therefore be it resolved, the Johnson County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Attendance Awareness Month in Johnston County, North Carolina, and to command this observance to all of our citizens. Adopted this 21st day of August 2023. Mr. Chairman, I move that this be adopted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I did have one quick question. When I look at these numbers, and if I'm reading this chart correctly, that in some places almost half, or in one case more than half the students are chronic. Wow.
Wow.
And I know that's kind of COVID in there too, but that's still very high numbers, and a lot of them are at least a third, so, all right, sorry.
No, it's shocking.
All right, any other questions? All right, we have a motion to proclaim September 23rd as Attendance Awareness Month. All in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Thank you.
September is Attendance Awareness Month in Johnston County. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we will have our attorney, Jennifer Slusser, to present to us on the Central Johnston County Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility Preliminary Treatment Facility Improvements Project Contractor Pre-Qualification.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Ms. Farmer and Ms. Rainier send their regrets for not being with you. What you have before you is a pre-qualification packet. The Department of Public Utilities would like to pre-qualify contractors for the upcoming preliminary treatment facility improvements project due to the critical nature of construction and the necessity of the continuity of operations at that existing facility. And so what we are asking you to do tonight is to approve a copy of the assessment tool and the criteria, and all of that is contained within the packet that is in your agenda package. We pre-qualify contractors for larger construction projects, and this is just to send out the pre-qualification packages so we can get some pre-qualified bidders to then bid on that expansion project. So if you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Load her up with one, Dickie.
No hard questions allowed without the engineers present.
Yeah, I know some engineers who play an attorney, but I've never known an attorney to want to be an engineer. So
You don't want me to do that for you tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the pre-qualification package for the Central Johnston County Regional Wastewater Preliminary Treatment Facility Improvements Project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Good job. Next up, we have appointments. And I guess at our earlier meeting this month, we made some nominations to the UNC Health for folks to serve on the Hospital Authority Board. And we had recommended, and it's a little bit of a process, but we had recommended William Massengill, Jeff Pollier, and Patricia Chisholm-Jones. And the process is that had to go back to the Hospital Authority and for them to approve our nominations, and they have done that. So tonight, I will appoint Mr. Massengill, Mr. Pollier, and Ms. Chisholm-Jones to the Hospital Authority Board. I think that's all the action we need on that. Which brings us to manager report and comments, and in Mr. Hester's absence, I think Mr. McLam has an update for us.
Yes. Good evening. So Johnston County has just learned earlier this week, I think you've seen it probably in the media, but Johnston County has earned the highest credit ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. We've got a AAA rating up from AA1 from Moody's, and from S&P we were AA+, now we're AAA for both. So we're only one of a handful of counties in the state that have received the highest rating, which will be AAA. And so we're very proud of that. That's been 20 to 25 years in the making, so we're proud of that. A couple of things that Moody's and S&P have said is the reason why we received a AAA rating was growing population with local and regional economic expansion, our financial position, strong management, which includes obviously the Board of Commissioners, S&P with robust economy, strong management, strong institutional framework, strong finances with 5-year projected plans, economic momentum with continued support and consistent operation results in a strong financial profile. So I would like to first of all thank the current Board of Commissioners for your support, and every time we sell some bonds we have to go before Moody's and Standard & Poor's, and they rate us, and this time they rated us a AAA. So I'd like to thank the current Board of Commissioners for your support. Chairman and Vice Chairman went on that meeting, and I appreciate your comments at that meeting. Past board members, all the past board members that have been a part of it, we appreciate those folks and their assistance with that. Certainly not forgotten. It's for them as much as it is for this current group. Our staff, not only finance staff, but our staff around the counties. Martha was there for the debt side. Rick has always been there for the management side and assisting with that. Chris Johnson with economic development. Our economics and our strong economic profile goes a long way to getting these ratings. As I said, it's been 20 to 25 years in the making, but we have been, from the outside, our paper has been rated from people that buy our paper.
PGA Tour players have sent huge daggers towards
our paper has been rated AAA forever. So I think the last revenue bonds we sold, we got a $5 million premium. We're going to sell $30 million in GEO bonds for school construction. I expect us to get a premium on this. And our ratings typically right now is in a high interest economy, which everybody else knows it's 7.5%. Ours is probably around 3.5% for what we get. We set a record a couple of years ago when we sold some bonds and got 1.6%. So over the last 20 to 25 years, our high credit ratings and how we've refinanced debt has probably saved taxpayers $30 to $40 million. And so this is another step to save taxpayer money, and so we're very proud of it.
I just want to say, if Commissioner Braswell will hand me his phone, I'm going to let him, being that you've been around the longest, I was going to give you the opportunity to say something first, since you've been a part of this process almost since its inception.
Well, I think when he said 20 years, you're right. And I remember many meetings that we had, trips to New York.
Yeah.
to try to convince them, 4 or 5 years ago, that AAA, we deserve it. And so, my thanks to you and the staff and this current board who continue to move forward with their conservative financial policies, which got us there.
That's right.
And so I don't know how many counties in the state, 10? How many's got?
About 10, I think.
And we're number 11.
We're number 11.
Out of 100. Yeah.
So I think we're proud of that. We're proud of what you folks do. We're proud of, sometimes we give Rick a hard time with his squeezing a little bit. And so, but it's worth it. And taxpayers in the long run will be the ones that benefit from this.
That's right.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else?
It's been an entire team effort. Chad mentioned many components. One of the things that was very frustrating to our board several years ago when we went to New York, all the things we could do, we were still being drugged down by the average wage here in Johnston County. But with the efforts of our Economic Development Office and Chris Johnson, that's improved, and these other items have also improved. And of course, the Finance Department does a bang-up job. It's recognized every year. So altogether, it's a total team effort.
I think it's a result of the great efforts of our staff and working together. Like Ted said, it's a team effort. We're all on the same team.
Mr. Chairman, as was mentioned, this journey started about 25 years ago. And I just want to mention two people who did a lot to get this started. One was Commissioner James Langdon, who was a great leader in this county. And under his leadership, we began to finance schools. We hired the folks who are helping us with our financing. They came on board. And he just, I can't tell you what a great commissioner he was and what a great leader he was to get us started on this path. And then right behind him came Wade Stewart. And he was a giant of a man and did a lot for this county. And I think both of those gentlemen deserve a lot of credit for starting this journey that so many have participated on. There are a lot of pilgrims along the way, but I would want to be sure we remember those two.
I think it's important to remember where we started to in 2008 when our fund balance was 13%, when it dropped down to 13% during the housing downfall and economy downfall. We were at 13%, and at that time our financial policy was 15%. And so we had to buckle up and do what we had to do in 2008. So we, since then, if we look at benchmarks, I think that tells the tale, right, that we as whoever's sitting up here or whoever is in the staff behind us can manage the situations when they come up. So.
Yes, sir. And, part of what goes into having a financial position is how we spend our money, and our departments deserve a lot of credit for being efficient in how they serve citizens. So that goes a lot into not only the robust economy and the people, the growing population, but it's how we're able to serve our citizens in an efficient and effective manner. So.
Anything? Chair Harris?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank you, Chad, for your steadfast leadership throughout all this. I mean, as our chief financial person for the county, you do an extraordinary job, and your staff does as well. But it has been a big group effort, and I just really applaud everyone for the last 20 years that have worked diligently to get us to this point. And we're so happy today, to me, that we were able to attain the AAA bond rating and lower our tax rate by 4 cents this year is a strong message to the citizens that, that Johnston County's in good shape and that we're making the right decisions, the right choices to move us forward and to save the taxpayers' money and to be good stewards of that. And so I just really appreciate everyone, and Mr. Hester as well. And he is a tight man, but that's probably a good thing. And so we appreciate him. And I'll say that while he's not here. But thank you for
He's watching, I'm sure.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would just echo all that. It's, I think it's a tribute to, as you mentioned, the boards, the staff, department heads, that something that started 20 years ago and has been a slow process to get here. But by sticking to the plan, we've finally gotten here. Now we got to work to stay here.
That's right.
As Rick has pointed out, I'm sure to all of you do, that now we got to stay here. But I can't say enough to the folks who've come before this board and staff that thank you for sticking to the plan and improving the plan despite the folks who set up here. But thank you so much for that. And I know as the citizens of Johnston County, as we're moving forward and doing projects, we'll appreciate the fact that we're saving in tax dollars and spending them wisely. So
That's right.
thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you a lot.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, board reports and comments.
As I mentioned earlier, I was surprised to learn this weekend that agriculture in North Carolina is the #1 industry in this state, and 20% of the population is employed in agriculture in one way or another, with a $100 billion a year industry. That's amazing, and I think we should stop and thank all the farmers. If it was kosher, I'd just about say hug a farmer, but I believe we better hold off on that.
Commissioner Godwin.
You know, we've had some informal, maybe more than informal discussions about the renaming of North Carolina 42 between Clayton and the county line. And a fella called me the other day, and I thought he had a good suggestion, Veterans Way. Veterans Way. Put that in your wicket and let's cogitate on it. Veterans Way, I think that's an excellent suggestion.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Done?
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right. And so Ms. Chamley had asked a question of us during public comment, and I will ask the question now of our council. If you would come forward and give us an update on the district redistricting plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you tonight about this. So if you don't mind, I'd like to give a brief overview of what we have, where we are, the guiding principles, why this is important, those sorts of things, to refresh everybody's recollection about the process. So first of all, Johnston County is made up of 7 commissioners who are elected from 7 residency districts. Residency districts mean that each commissioner must reside in his or her district, but that all the voters of the county vote for each of those 7 seats. And so this is different than what you see in many other places that have electoral districts in which only the voters of that district are allowed to vote for that one candidate. So we do not have that here. It's also distinct from an at-large system where the candidates can reside anywhere within the county and be elected by all of the voters within the county. So we have residency districts, and I think that that's important to remember. So generally, counties with residency districts are not required or even allowed to redistrict every 10 years like counties who have the electoral districts. As you might recall, there was a local bill that was introduced by Senator Sari to give Johnston County the authority to redistrict, and this board adopted a resolution supporting that on April the 17th of this year. The North Carolina General Assembly passed that local bill on June the 1st which allows us to redistrict the residency districts. And for the public, that session law is 2023 Session Law 24. And so that is the legal authority in which we have to move forward with this process. Under the rules, the way that it works is that the redistricting, if you wanted to implement this for the 2024 general election, you would need to complete this work by October the 7th of 2023. Just to give you an idea of what the schedule looks like, candidate filing for 2024 election begins on Monday, December the 4th, and it ends at noon on Friday, December the 15th. So if you have this work complete by October the 7th, then that gives candidates 2 months to figure out what they want to do and those sorts of things. And keep in mind, the only thing that really changes is where the people, where the candidates live and what district in which they're going to run. That's it. The ballots won't look any different. The precincts won't be any different. Everything else is the same. Since the passage of the local act, your staff, including the GIS director, Tish Jones, and I, with the assistance of Caroline Mackey, who's an attorney that's experienced with local government redistricting, have been working actively to attempt to put together a plan for you to assist you in redefining your residency districts to more evenly distribute the population within those 7 residency districts. And the guiding principles that we've worked from are things that we have discussed amongst one another, and you have discussed as a group, that really there are 3 things that you're looking at as you go through this process. Number 1, you want to redefine those residency districts to more evenly distribute the population among the 7 residency districts. You want to use your existing boundaries as a starting point for making any changes to those residency districts, and you want to make sure that you keep existing board members in the district for which they were elected, except for those who have announced that they do not intend to seek re-election. And the reason for that is the rule doesn't allow you to redistrict out a sitting commissioner. So that's the basis for the rule. And then that you want the district boundaries to make sense. And so you want them to follow major geographic features. So those are the things that we're looking at. And in talking about those population changes, I have for you just a copy of the existing districts as they are now with estimated populations.
Is that something we can put up on the screen?
Just hearing say, I think that'd be good for the public to see too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susie's going to get that document up for us through the document camera. If you'll give us just 1 second. And this will show you the inequity in the population within the districts. And I think that this graphic is helpful in explaining why this is important. So, for example, as you can see in District 1, you've got an estimated population of 53,688 people. But then in District 2, you have an estimated population of 19,070. And so, clearly, with regards to these populations, the more growth that we have seen over the years, the more inequitable these residency districts have become. What the goal is to substantially equalize the population of those residency districts with this redistricting because of the significant population growth that we have had in Johnston County. And so the concept would be, and it's much more complicated than this with regards to the GIS maps and the actual work that you have to do it. But really what we're doing is we're taking the population, dividing by 7, and trying to equalize those districts. So we are looking, the demographic information that we're looking at is solely population. We do not consider the number of registered voters within a district. We are solely looking at population to balance out those districts. And so the timeline that we propose for you, and we have been, since the legislation was enacted, I have been working with the GIS team, and we're working on some things. But the timeline that we suggest is that we have some map options. We've been working on map options, but that we have some map options and finalize those map options to be able to present to you in the first 2 weeks of September. Then the proposed plans would be formally presented to you and considered by the Board of Commissioners on September the 18th. We would open a public comment period on September the 18th, and citizens would have the opportunity to provide public comment both electronically and in person. Information about the project, including the proposed maps, would be posted on the county's webpage. There would be the ability for citizens to provide comment through that web portal. We'll have physical copies of the maps on display in the Johnston County Courthouse and other places strategically located within Johnston County. And we'll also work with our communications team to make sure that there's citizen engagement in the process. We suggest that you have a drop-in session for the public to view the maps on September the 20th right here in this room. And then you have a public hearing on the proposed plans on the 2nd, and they are available for you to select a plan and adopt a resolution that night. So that is the proposed plan that we present to you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about redistricting or the timeline.
So, Councilor, it looks like 1, 4, 5, and 7 are the overpopulated ones. So, I'm not very bright, but we have to reduce those areas and add to the other ones.
Yes, there would be some shifting that would need to take place. So, for example, District 1 obviously has to be smaller. District 2 obviously needs to be bigger. And so we would have to do some shifting with the population to be able to make that happen.
I just hope we don't make it more difficult than it needs to be.
That has been the instruction I have received from this board from the beginning. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. And frankly, it's the way that we are approaching it is with simple math. To take the population, divide by 7, overlay the census data, and follow those things that make sense, like those major geographic boundaries. So that is the plan.
Lines. The 35,800 is about the average. 35,800.
So, and you know, there will be some variance. It won't be perfectly even, but what we believe to be a reasonable variance, especially when you look at like electoral districts, the way that they do it, no more than 5% is what we're hoping for, or in the 5 to 6% range on the variance. But that's the information that I have for you. I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
I might make a comment just for the edification of the watching public. The real implication this has in changing this is just in the candidate pool to run for office.
Yes, sir.
I would just say I like the idea of, as I look at some of the districts up there and what different areas are included in some of the districts that I don't think they have a lot in common, that using those natural boundaries and I guess land features and highways, so not so natural boundaries, to make those districts would seem to be an improvement. And I mean, I can see, I'll just look at mine at 7. I don't know if mine's not getting any bigger, so I imagine mine may shrink. So there's some, as you said, there's parts of it would be simple, and then the devil will be in the little details trying to get the numbers close. But I think we should proceed on with the schedule that you've presented, but what are the wishes of the board?
I think it's time that we do it. I mean, you can look at those numbers, there's a lot of disparity between one district and the other. I think in fairness to the citizens and the people who are thinking about running for office, I think this is the time to resolve this, and I don't think it'll be done as the county grows. There's a possibility, in another few years, you'll have to go back and look at it again, but we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think moving forward with it is a good idea, and your timeline seems to work well.
So I'm taking the silence as meaning to proceed on with the schedule presented. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a whole lot I can say since you're picking on me.
All right. Any other comments? If not, I do need a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, I move the board go into a closed session for the following purpose: of consulting with an attorney employed by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3, including but not limited to Kelly Ashley versus Johnston County Manager's Office et al., 23 CV 004-593-500, to establish or instruct staff concerning the negotiation of the price and terms of a contract concerning the acquisition of real property pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A5, and for the purpose of personnel pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A6.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of going into closed session for the purposes stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. And I will say that unlike most meetings where we take no action, I do anticipate action taken in the Ashley versus Johnson County Manager's Office and with the personnel matter. So with that, we'll give a few minutes and then we'll go into closed session. We are now back in open session, and we have a couple of items we need to address.
Mr. Chairman, Director of Social Services announced his retirement effective August 31st, 2023. The Board of Social Services desires to appoint an interim into the position while we recruit for a full-time position. The Board seeks the approval of a temporary interim director salary of $10,313.33 per month. This salary is within the range of position classification under the county's pay plan. So I would like to entertain a motion to approve the board's recommendation for salary approval for the temporary interim DSS director in the amount of $10,313.33 per month.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. And the next item?
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion to retain Pointer Spruill to defend the claim entitled Kelly Ashley versus Johnson County Manager's Office on behalf of all defendants.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.